Hey guys, what's going on? I'm Cam, and as you know very well, this is Jason. We're going to have a quick chat about how things have been going over the last week or so, and what's been going on with liblocated and libsession. So, how's it been down under, putting shrimps on the barbie with the Melbourne team?
It's been quite an experience actually. So this is my first time here, as you know. I previously met with maybe, I don't know, 6 or 7 people here at a conference back in 2019, and then everything since then has been remote. But actually being here and meeting people face to face has been amazing. I've sat down individually, one-on-one with most of the devs who are here, and just got to know people in a way that just doesn't work.
Yeah, for sure. It's funny. I mean,
remotely.
that's been my experience, meeting you and Jeff for the first time, face to face. It's like you can't even really put into words like how much, like taking the face on the screen and that being a person. It's like the like, you
Totally
can't even
different.
compare. Yeah. Yeah. So you've been in the office for a week now and working away on liblocated?
At the moment, I'm actually working on session-related stuff. So I'm currently working on a redo of our right. Yeah, session-related. Okay, so no, I'm working on a kind of a replacement of our push notification server, so that we can have more reliable push notifications for session,
Right.
which has kind of been a long-term thing of people worrying about the reliability, and there's some complications in the way that it works behind the scenes. This will kind of simplify it, make it easier to manage, and actually make our push notifications a bit faster than they are right now.
And my understanding is also parity between different platforms as well, which will be handy because we want everyone to have the same experience.
Yep.
Yeah.
So, there's a bunch of good reasons to do this, and hopefully it addresses a lot of these problems people have been having.
Yeah, cool. And have you found it easy, a bit of synergy perhaps, working on that stuff in the office with everyone?
It has been. Not so much on that issue, because I've been doing that kind of, that's mostly me working solo on that. But I've also been doing some of the our libsession util stuff, which I think we can talk about a little bit in a few minutes. But that really has been great to work with people right here, rather than the sort of back and forth through online messages.
Yeah, for sure. Just turning to someone and being like, hey,
hey, Audric, tell me,
for sure.
how do I do this thing? And
Yeah.
then, give me a minute, and type something out. And
Easy, way easier.
Yeah, no.
What are some of the other things that are more broadly the libsession will sort of unlock for session users?
So this is a little bit of a. I think if you're looking outside from our community it looks like right now we're sort of stagnant, and we're absolutely not. It's just that this libsession is something that I've wanted us to do now for maybe like more than a year. And what it does is it gives us this single underlying utility library that all the different session clients are using, that basically says, okay, well, the way that we're going to store config messages, it's not going to be that session iOS has one version of doing it, and Android has another, and desktop has another. They're now just all using the same one. So we know that they're guaranteed to be working the same way. And if one of them has a bug, they're all going to have exactly the same bug.
Yeah.
But we're not going to be in this case where, well, there's a bug over here that interacts badly with this one that's working right, and then that one over there does something slightly different again.
Yeah, it sounds like it's going to eliminate a lot of issues for you guys.
So it will eliminate a lot. But the other thing it does is it actually allows us going forward to be a bit faster with how we put new things into session, because now we can put the complicated stuff into this library, and then just have the other guys call into it without having to say, well, here's this complicated thing and we've got to write it 3 times.
Yeah, for sure.
So it's kind of a big undertaking right now for all of the teams to integrate with this library, but the hope is that this lets us speed up.
Yeah. I imagine a lot of double handling in the past, if you sort of
triple handling.
Yeah. Sort of fixing something over here causes a problem over here, and then over and over.
Yep.
it'll be pretty huge once we can just eliminate that and
Yep.
sort of move forward with a pace that we haven't been able to in the past.
Yep.
It's exciting.
So
Yeah.
it's it's a chunk of time now to put that in, but it should pay off dividends.
Yeah, for sure. I think
Later
it
this
definitely
year.
will by the sound of it.
Yep.
So is that most of the things that you've been doing with LibSession at the moment? Is the rest of it mostly liblocated focused?
Yeah, on the side, it's probably time we can leave it on. No, so that's mainly what I've been working with on the session team, and that's been taking a fair amount of my time lately. But at the same time, I also of course supervise the LokiNet team, and there's some really good progress that's happening there, and particularly on the embedded LokiNet or liblocated. And that project is aiming to bring LokiNet into session. So right now we have a fair amount of limitations in how session works. For example, calls they're still in a beta stage because we didn't want to bring them out until we can say your call is not going over the clear text internet, and someone looking at you can't tell who you're calling.
Well, we did a lot of consultation with the community around that time as well. We were asking, hey, we can release it now in this form right now.
And
it's
that's what we did, so that we could get it out on time. So the liblocated approach, I sat down to write this code like a year and a half or maybe 2 years ago, and then kind of worked on a bunch of other things, and it didn't get completely tested and polished. So now we have a new developer named Dan on the LokiNet team who started at the beginning of this year. And he's been working on taking liblocated and really diving into it, polishing it, getting it working. It was working kind of okay before, but it had some problems. We'd have some timeouts making connections. Over the last month, he's really ramped that up to the point that it's getting close to us being able to start putting it into session.
That's huge. That's something that sort of the whole project has been working towards really hard for a long time now. I think it'll be extremely exciting once we can start to see that come to fruition. I've heard that Dan has like a very, because he's like
top secret. He's a fantastic addition to the team. He's really he's very dedicated to the stuff that he goes into. So I can say, hey, take this on, and he just drives right into it. And it's also just nice to have that extra person full time on the LokiNet team. For a long time, it's been Jeff full time, me sometimes, and we have another developer who's part time in LokiNet. So it's been great to have just that extra drive, and an ability to sort of divide up the way that we do that work.
Yeah, for sure. A lot more gas in the tank, a few extra cylinders in the engine for the LokiNet dev team.
Yeah, it's been fantastic. So
and so once we are ready to fully implement liblocated into session, it's going to make a whole suite of massive changes to session, as I understand it. And it'll also be sort of a proof of concept for other people integrating that library into their own applications.
Absolutely. So this is really, we've designed this just in such a way that session is its first user, but it's not designed to be only for session. So if someone wants to create some other app that uses this, it's there, it's usable. Session is kind of our guinea pig to get it going. But this will allow all sorts of interesting things in session. Like, for example, one of the limitations we have now is on file sizes. You can send files up to, I think it's about 10 megabytes. And that's because we have a server that you've got to send all this stuff to. There's really no way to be able to stream something from one person to another over our current protocol. And that's a pretty big thing that LokiNet will allow us to do. So we can do things like calling, sending large files. A lot of stuff that we want to do in Session Pro actually is kind of dependent on the stuff that liblocated will let us start doing.
Yeah, it's going to be massive. There's always been this sort of, there are like less private, less secure ways that we can approach some of these challenges that we have, but we've never wanted to make that compromise. And it'll be so big when we can like increase the file size limit, do things like voice and video calls that are onion routed, and not have to sacrifice the privacy security for those like high levels of features. It's exciting. And you can really sort of plug that library into like more or less anything, right? Like once that proof of concept has gone forward with session,
That's the plan.
there's
yeah.
basically, it's like sky's the limit, really.
Yeah. So it's, we tried to make it it has to be somewhat intrusive, but if you build software, you can use this library. You can then adapt your software to be able to make these sort of connections over LokiNet. So, it's got a lot of potential.
Yeah.
And, having been working on LokiNet for years now, I'm really happy to start seeing it get that instant adoption that we'll get once it's part of session.
For sure. Well, it's sort of a sleeping giant at the moment. I think that it has this like incredible potential, and it's like it can basically do anything that the internet can do, right? But more privately. It's just there's basically limitless applications, and it's really exciting to see liblocated get to a point where people can start experimenting with it. It's going to be really interesting in that phase once it's working in session and people take notice to see what people do with it and where it can go.
And that's one use. I mean, LokiNet on its own has all sorts of interesting uses too.
For sure.
So, and I think this year we're going to start to really see that start to ramp up as well. So it's pretty exciting.
Yeah, it's really exciting.
Yeah.
Well, thanks for joining us, man. And we're going to be sad. We're going to be sad to see you go next weekend. But it's been really good having you here for the week, man. It's been really good.
Yeah, no, it's been fantastic. So
yeah, cool. Yeah. All right, thanks for joining us, guys. And hopefully we can get Jason back again sometime soon. Maybe crowdfund a ticket back in a couple of weeks.
I think a couple of weeks may be too short because it takes a couple of weeks to recover from the flight to get here from anywhere else. But
for sure.
And hopefully this becomes a more regular thing. It's just
definitely.
COVID screwed everything up all around the world for years. So
for sure.
So now hopefully we're post-COVID. I don't want to jinx it.
Yeah.
Just COVID-23 comes along or something.
All right, cool.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Okay.
Cool.